I never thought family could carve you open like a dull knife, slow and jagged. But Ethan did it with words alone. "You're the family embarrassment, Sienna," he sneered at Mom's funeral, his voice slicing through the hushed Episcopal church in Greenwich like a bad tabloid headline. The mourners, old money aunts and uncles who'd always whispered about my wild phase, froze, their pearl clutches tightening, while I stood there in my black sheath dress, the one Mom had picked out last Christmas, feeling the weight of her casket like it was pressing down on my chest. That was the hook that sank deepest, betrayal from the brother who'd share my sandbox secrets, the one who'd promised we'd conquer the world together. But Ethan? He was already rewriting the script. 2 weeks later, he poached my algorithm, the one I'd coded in sweat-soaked nights after dropping out of Stanford, the neural network that could predict market crashes before the suits even smelled rain. It was our family heirloom, born from Dad's old Wall Street tales and Mom's quiet faith in second chances. I trusted him with the beta files, emailed them over a bottle of Napa Cab at our family lake house in the Adirondacks. "This is it, bro," I'd said, clinking glasses. "We're gonna flip the script on these hedge fund vampires." He smiled that wolfish grin, the one that hid shark teeth. By morning, the files were scrubbed from iDrive, and Ethan's startup, Ethos Analytics, was pitching to VCs in Sand Hill Road. My name? Erased like a bad draft. When the SEC came knocking 6 months in, accusing me of insider trading, falsified logs showing I'd siphoned funds from a dummy account, it was Ethan's signature on the whistleblower tip. Protecting the family legacy, he called it in his deposition. Eyes dry as the Sahara. I took the fall. 2 years in federal lockup at FCI Danbury, the women's wing where the air smelled like bleach and broken dreams. Orange jumpsuits and mandatory therapy sessions where they probed why a golden girl like me ended up here. Golden girl.
Huh.
More like the sacrificial lamb. Out on good behavior, I emerged into a world that had moved on without me. New York hummed with the same frantic energy, taxis honking down Fifth Avenue, steam rising from manhole covers like ghosts, but I was a specter in my own life. Mom's Greenwich house sold off to pay my legal fees. Dad long gone to some golf course widow in Florida.
Ethan?
He was the darling now. Ethos valued at $500 million. His face plastered on TechCrunch as the prodigy who saved Wall Street from itself. I crashed on a cousin's couch in Brooklyn, waitressing at a Williamsburg dive bar called the Rusty Anchor, slinging IPAs to hipsters who tipped in crypto jokes. Nights, I'd stare at my laptop screen, fingers itching over keys, rebuilding from scratch. Not the same, Algo, no. That was tainted. Something sharper, a predictive AI for social sentiment, mining X feeds and Reddit rants to forecast consumer revolts before they trended. It started small. A freelance gig debugging code for a fintech upstart in Flatiron. Then a pitch to an angel investor at a Soho networking mixer, where I wore my one good blazer and lied about my resume gaps. Prison?
Nah.
Just a sabbatical, I'd quip, flashing that Sienna smile Mom said could melt glaciers. The investor bid, a grizzled ex-Goldman guy named Harlan who saw the fire in my eyes and didn't ask about the scars. Seed round, $250,000. I named it Vesper, Latin for evening star, the one that guides you home after the darkest fall. We launched beta from a co-working space in NoHo. Me and 2 coders poached from NYU, Raj, a whiz with blockchain ethics, and Lena, a queer hacker from Detroit who'd bootstrapped her way through community college. Ethan didn't notice at first. Why would he? His empire was ballooning. Parties at the Hamptons with models and Mark Cuban lookalikes. But I watched. God, did I watch? Scoured his ex-feed for the brags. The humble flexes about family first, while he ghosted Dad's birthday calls. The secret gnawed at me, though, the one I'd buried deeper than my cell block regrets.
It wasn't just the theft.
Back in college, before the all-go, Ethan had botched a deal, insider tips from Dad's old firm, leaked to cover gambling debts. SSE heat came down, but I covered for him. Forged an alibi email, said it was my joke research project. He walked. I got a slap on the wrist and a family pat on the back for loyalty. Loyalty. The word tasted like rust now. Vesper hit inflection point 6 months post-launch. A viral thread on Wall Street Bets praised our sentiment tracker for calling the meme stock dip. Our servers lit up like Christmas. Users flooding in from retail traders to rogue quants. Valuations spiked to $10 mil. Harlan threw a launch bash at his Tribeca loft. Skyline views and craft cocktails flowing. I was there in a red silk slip dress, the kind that hugs like a second skin, laughing with VCs while my mind mapped Ethan's downfall. That's when he texted. Heard about your little app.
Cute.
Drinks Friday? Family catch-up. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering. The hook twisted deeper. Was this olive branch or bait? I typed back. Sure. The rusty anchor. 8 p.m. He showed up in chinos and a polo, looking every bit the frat boy CEO, flashing that grin as he slid onto a stool. Sis, you look resilient. The bar's neon buzzed overhead, casting his face in sickly green. We ordered whiskeys, Boo Light. Neat. Like old times. He spun the tale, how Ethos was struggling under regulatory scrutiny. How he missed me. How maybe we could collab. Your Vesper thing? It's got legs. Imagine us together again. Lies dripped like honey, but I sipped slow, letting him talk. Midway through his pitch, he dropped the bomb. Dad's sick. Prostate. Stage 3. Needs us both. My glass froze midair. Dad, the ghost who'd bailed after Mom's chemo bills buried us. The man who'd whispered in my ear at Ethan's Yale graduation. You're the smart one.
Sienna.
Don't let him dim your light. I set the glass down. Fingers steady. Tell me about the collab. Ethan. He leaned in, eyes gleaming with that mummer's charm. But I saw the flicker, the calculation. He needed Vesper's edge to bail out Ethos, which was hemorrhaging from over-leveraged bets on crypto winters. I nodded. Feigned warmth. Send over the NDAs. We hugged goodbye. His cologne sharp as betrayal.
Outside.
Under the Brooklyn Bridge's shadow. I hailed a cab and whispered to the driver. Midtown.
Now.
My phone pinged. Lena's alert. Ethos servers probing Vesper's API. He was already mining. That night, in my walk-up off Bedford, I didn't sleep. Instead, I coded a backdoor, a ghost thread in Vesper's core that mirrored Ethan's queries back at him, laced with junk data. Slow poison. Not the quick kind. Let him chase shadows while I built light. Dad's diagnosis? I'd verify it myself. A reverse lookup on hospital records. A favor from a medtech contact in Boston. False positive. Ethan's first flip. The man was a chameleon, scales shifting with the light. But I was the storm cloud rolling in. Vesper's growth accelerated like a bullet train. By year 2, we'd secured Series A from Sequoia, $50 mil at a $200 mil valuation. Offices in a glass tower off Hudson Yards. Team swelling to 50. Data scientists from MIT. Marketers poached from Google. I made the cover of Fast Company as the comeback kid. My Danbury stint spun into a redemption arc. From bars to boards. Readers ate it up, the underdog tale. The sister scorned. Ethan seethed in private DMs. You're stealing my thunder.
Sienna.
Family sticks together. I screenshotted.
Archived.
Thunder? I'd bring the lightning. The real hook, though, the one that would gut him, came at the Aspen Ideas Festival. I was keynoting on ethical AI in turbulent markets, the crowd a sea of khakis and power pastels. Ethan was there, third row, clapping like a hyena.
Post-talk.
He cornered me in the green room, champagne flute in hand. Proud of you,
Sis.
but let's cut the crap. Buy out Vesper. $300 mill.
Cash.
His eyes bored in. That cunning glint. I swirled my own flute, bubbles rising like accusations. Or what? Another tip to the feds. He laughed.
Low. And mean.
Don't make me the villain here. Villain? He was the architect. I leaned close. Voice a whisper. You built this.
Ethan.
Now watch it burn. His face paled. Just a fraction. Good. The game was on. Back in the city, I greenlit Phase 2, Vesper's shadow network. A web of bots that amplified Ethos's flaws. Subtle leaks to journalists, anonymous tips on their algos biases. How it funneled trades to insider cronies. Nothing illegal. Just enough smoke to choke the VCs. Ethan's stock dipped 15% overnight. He called. Raging. What the hell?
Sienna?
This your idea of family? I hung up, heart pounding like a war drum. The betrayal echoed, but so did the power. For the first time since the church, I felt alive, raw, electric, unapologetic. Ethan's flips came faster after Aspen, each one a knife twist in the ribs. One day, he'd send flowers to the office, roses the color of fresh blood, with a card, truce, dinner at Le Bernardin. The next, I'd wake to headlines, Vesper AI faces scrutiny over data privacy lapses. His fingerprints all over it, paid trolls on X, stirring the pot with half-truths about our user tracking. I lawyered up, issued denials, but the damage lingered like a hangover. Harlan pulled me aside in a board meeting, his jowls quivering. Sienna, this family drama, it's bleeding us. Fold into Ethos, or we're looking at a down round.
Fold?
Into the mouth of the wolf.
No.
I doubled down, hiring a PR ninja from Ogilvy to spin it as resilient innovation under fire. But the secrets? They festered. I'd always known Ethan was the favorite, the golden boy with dad's jawline and mom's charm. What I didn't know, until a late-night dig through digitized family albums,
was the depth.
Scanned letters from '08. When the crash hit, Dad confessing to embezzling client funds to cover Ethan's poker losses in Atlantic City. Mom's reply, tear-stained ink. Sienna will understand. She's the strong one. Understand? I'd been 12, braiding friendship bracelets while they shielded him. The crime I bore? Not just the algo fall, it was this original sin. The one that taught me silence was survival.
Now.
With Vesper cresting $1 bill in valuation, I cracked it open. Hired a PI in Newark, a grizzled ex-cop named Marco who chain-smoked camels and didn't ask questions. Marco's report landed like a gut punch. Ethan wasn't just poaching, he was laundering. Ethos's philanthropy arm, a front for funneling dirty crypto gains through offshore shells. Dad knew. Had confronted him last year at the club. Fix it, or I tell Sienna everything. Ethan's reply? A shrug and a wire transfer to Dad's accounts. Hush money. Dad took it. The coward. And died choking on his own hypocrisy in that Florida bungalow. Stage 3 my ass. Autopsy said heart attack from untreated hypertension. Ethan had lied again. Using ghosts to manipulate. I sat in my corner office, Hudson River churning below, like my rage. And wept, not for Dad, but for the girl who'd covered for monsters. Revenge crystallized then, not as a blaze, but a slow simmer. I invited Ethan to Vesper's holiday gala at the Whitney, black tie affair. Donors from Bloomberg to Beyoncé's manager. He arrived in a Tom Ford tux. Arm candy a blonde influencer with more filters than followers. We posed for photos. Siblings reunited, the prodigy and the phoenix. Toasts rang out, to family legacies. And I clinked glasses with him, our eyes locking over the rims. To truths, I murmured. He faltered, just a beat. Later, on the balcony, overlooking the High Line's twinkling lights, snow flurrying like confetti, he tried the charm offensive. Sienna, let's merge. Ethos plus Vesper? Unstoppable. I'll give you equity, 40%. CFO title. CFO. The joke. I'd be his puppet. Strings pulled from the shadows. I lit a cigarette, Marlboro Light. A vice I'd picked up in Danbury, and exhaled smoke like dragon breath. What's the catch? Ethan? He paced. Chelsea boots clicking on marble. No catch.
Just.
Dad's estate. It's tied up. We split it fair.
Lies.
Marco's addendum. Ethan had contested the will, claiming I'd abandoned the family during my trouble, fighting for every cent of Mom's jewelry and the lake house.
Fair.
The word curdled. I flicked the butt over the railing, watching it spiral into the night. Sign the merger papers by New Year's. Or I go public with the laundering. His face, so... That face, drained to ash. You wouldn't. I stepped close. Perfume mingling with his fear. Family sticks together. Right? He flipped then. Rage uncoiling like a spring. Grabbed my wrist. Hard enough to bruise. You think you're clean. Sienna? That prison tat on your soul? Vesper's built on stolen scraps, my scraps. Stolen. The irony burned hotter than the whiskey in my veins. I twisted free, nails raking his cufflink. Your scraps? Like the ones you fed Dad to keep your sins buried. He froze. The chameleon caught midshift. Wind whipped our hair. The city a indifferent witness. What do you know? He hissed. I smiled. Slow and savage. Everything. He backed away, vanishing into the crowd like smoke. By dawn, Ethos shares tanked 20% on a leadership transition rumor. My doing? A whisper to a CNBC contact. Controversial? Hell yes. But in America's cutthroat coliseum, mercy was for losers. Vesper soared through the scandal, our ethical audits gleaming like badges. I keynote at South by Southwest, dropping lines about transparency in tech's dark underbelly, the crowd roaring as if I'd channeled Snowden. Backstage, Lena pulled me aside, her locks tied back, eyes sharp. Boss, this Ethos beef? It's personal. But we're bleeding talent. Raj's jumping to OpenAI. Personal. Understatement of the decade. I nodded, popping an Adderall to chase the jet lag. Let him go. Poached two back. Ruthless? Maybe. But survival in Silicon Valley wasn't a meritocracy, it was a blood sport. And Ethan had drawn first. The next flip came via email. Ethan's apology. CC to our family lawyer. Sienna? I was wrong. Therapy's helping. PTSD from dad's pressure. Let's talk. PTSD. The man who'd laughed at my sentencing. Texting me court memes from his yacht. I forwarded it to Marco. Vet this. Turns out, therapy was real, a Park Avenue shrink billing Ethos's expense account. But the PTSD? Fabricated for a lawsuit against dad's estate, claiming abuse to claw more inheritance. Flip after flip, like a bad acid trip. I met him anyway. Neutral ground, a diner in K-Town. Formica tables sticky with soy sauce ghosts. He slid into the booth, hollow-eyed, ordering congee like a penitent. I stole the algo because I was scared. Sienna. You were always the star. I needed to shine.
Shine.
The word hung, absurd in the diner's fluorescent hum. Waitresses shouted orders in Korean. Cabbies nursed coffees outside. I stirred my miso soup, steam rising like unanswered prayers. Scared?
You framed me.
2 years. Ethan. Showers with rats. Letters from mom begging for visits you blocked. His spoon clattered. I visited. Once.
Lie.
Logs showed otherwise. But his eyes, wet now, pleading, cracked something in me. The girl who covered his gambling sins. Who coded through tears for us. Why the laundering? I pressed. He deflated. Crypto crash. Borrowed from the wrong Russians. Dad found out, threatened to cut me off. Russians. The plot thickened. Cold War echoes in Manhattan's grid. I leaned back. The vinyl booth creaking. Decision time. Expose him. Watch ethos implode. Claim the throne.
Or. What?
Forgive? The thought soured like spoiled milk. One chance, I said. Full confession. To the board. The feds. I back your rehab story. Spin it as redemption. He nodded. Fervent.
Deal.
We shook. Palms clammy. Walking out into the neon haze of 32nd Street, I felt the tension coil tighter. Trust a snake? Controversial as hell. But revenge wasn't just destruction, it was reconstruction. On my terms. Back at Vesper. The team buzzed with expansion plans. London office. AI ethics board with Timnit Gebru as advisor. I greenlit it all. But sleep evaded. Dreams of Danbury merged with boardrooms, Ethan's laugh echoing off cell bars. A week later, the flip, Ethan's board ousted him in a mutual coup. Headlines screaming Prodigy falls, insider trading probe. My leak? Indirect, a tip to the Times via Marco. He called from a burner. Sienna? You bitch. I confessed everything. Now this. Static crackled. You said one chance. His voice broke. I did. For you.
Click.
Silence. The city outside my window pulsed. Indifferent. Had I pushed too far? Or not far enough? The probe hit like a nor'easter. Winds howling through Ethos's glass facade. Feds raided their Palo Alto HQ at dawn. Agents in windbreakers carting servers like contraband. X lit up, Ethosgate trending. Memes of Ethan as Icarus. wings melted by his own hubris. I watched from my yoga mat in the Hudson Yards gym. Downward dog stretching the knots in my back. CNN muted on the treadmill screens. Guilt, a flicker, quickly snuffed. This was justice. American style. Eat or be eaten. With a side of schadenfreude. Vesper stock, now public. Ticker VSPR, surged 30%. Analysts crowing about our clean contrast.
Clean.
If only they knew the dirt under my nails. Ethan holed up in the Adirondacks Lake house. The one we'd fought over in probate. I drove up unannounced. The Taconic Parkway a blur of fall foliage turning bloody. Gravel crunched under my Range Rover tires as I pulled up. The place a time capsule. Mom's Adirondack chairs weathered. Dock creaking into the mist-shrouded lake. He met me on the porch. Unshaven in flannel. A far cry from the CEO polish. You win, he said. No preamble. Voice raw. Like he'd been screaming into pillows. I stepped out. Boots sinking into damp earth. The air crisp with pine and regret.
Win.
This isn't chess. Ethan. It's fallout. We walked the path to the dock. Leaves crunching like accusations. He spilled it all. The Russians were Bratva affiliates. Loan sharking through NFTs, the laundering routed via Bahamian trusts Dad had set up in the 90s for tax strategies. My covering for his gambling? That was kid stuff. This was empire-level rot. I thought Vesper would save me, he admitted, skipping stones across the water. Ripples spreading like lies. Merge. Whitewash it all. I picked up a flat shale. Hurled it 5 skips.
Clean.
You thought I'd swallow the poison again. He turned, eyes red-rimmed. You did before. For family.
Family.
The word weaponized. Again. We sat on the dock's edge. Legs dangling. The way we had as kids fishing for bass with Dad's old pen reels. Sun dipped low, gilding the lake in fool's gold. Remember the summer of '09? I said. Crash hits. Dad's firm tanks. You lose 10 grand at Foxwoods. I hacked the school server to cover your absences. Alibi for the feds.
He winced.
I paid you back. In IOUs and silence. The secret I'd borne. Not just the hack. But the lie to Mom. Telling her it was my rebellion phase. She'd grounded me. Cried over. Wasted potential.
Ethan?
Slap on the wrist. Off to Europe for perspective.
Now.
With the feds circling, he flipped to supplicant. Help me.
Sienna.
Testify, say it was my idea. The all go.
Plea deal.
Testify. Bear his sins again. Like Atlas shrugging the world. Controversial decision loomed. Save him. Taint Vesper with association. Or let him sink. Risk the Bratva's gaze turning my way. I stood. Planks groaning. Think on it. I'll send papers. Driving back. Radio blasting Springsteen, Born to Run. I wrestled the wheel like my conscience. Mercy or massacre. In America's merit myth, both were defensible. Back in the city, Vesper's momentum was a freight train. Forbes whispered billionaire watch, my net worth cresting $900 mill on paper. I threw myself into the grind. Davos virtual panels on AI equity. Diversity hires from HBCUs. Even a TED Talk on redemption algorithms. Crowds cheered. But mirrors showed the toll. Crow's feet from squinting at code. A hollow to my cheeks from skipped meals. Lena noticed, cornering me in the kitchenette with matcha lattes. Your ghosts? Sienna. This revenge? It's eating you.
Ghosts. Apt.
Ethan haunted every metric, every board slide. The Bratva angle escalated fast. Marco's update, low-level enforcer spotted at JFK. Inquiring about Ethos assets. I up security, Kroll consultants, encrypted comms. Ethan called from the lake house. Panicked. They're coming for me. The merger, do it. Save us both.
Us.
The hook sink anew. I pace my penthouse. Central Park a dark smear below. City lights winking like conspirators. Decision. Controversial as a loaded gun. I wired him $5 mill through a Cayman shell, bridge loan. I called it in the email. Not mercy, insurance. If he flipped to the feds on the Russians, my name stayed clean.
But Ethan?
Master of the pivot. Days later, a package arrived at Vesper HQ, USB drive, labeled Truth Serum. Inside, files my Danbury comms, twisted to imply I'd masterminded the original insider scam. Blackmail. His note. Merge or this drops to Wall Street Journal. The chameleon shed skin again. From victim to viper. I slammed the drive into my Mac. Heart hammering. There it was, doctored timestamps. Emails forged in my voice. Cunning bastard. Used AI deepfakes. Probably pilfered from Ethos scraps. Rage boiled. But I breathed it down. Channeling mom's church hymns. No snap. Strategy. I called a war council. Lena. Harlan. Marco via Zoom. Counterplay. Marco growled. Cigar smoke clouding his feed. Leak his laundering first. Controlled burn. Harlan balked. Sienna? That's scorched earth. SEC could drag us in. Lena nodded. But it's ethical, exposing crime. Polarizing. Even internally. I greenlit it. The drop, anonymous to ProPublica. Timed for Friday close. By Monday, Ethos was a carcass, shares halted. Board fleeing like rats. Ethan surfaced on CNBC. Disheveled in a green room. Blaming rogue employees.
Me?
Silent. Vesper's aura untarnished. The climax brewed at the Forbes Under 30 Summit in Philly. I was Summit Queen, keynote on Disrupted Dynasties, with Ethan gatecrashing as a surprise panelist. The hall thrummed. 2,000 millennials in athleisure. Apps buzzing with live tweets. He took the stage uninvited, mic in hand. My sister Sienna? She's the real embarrassment. Stole my vision. Framed me for her sins. Gasps rippled. Cameras flashed. I stood backstage. Pulse thundering. The three hooks of our saga flashing. His funeral sneer. The stolen code. The forged files. Now this, public gutting. I stormed out. Spots from the lights blinding. Ethan. Enough. The crowd parted like the Red Sea. He turned. Mike hot. Tell them. Sienna. About Danbury. About covering my ass since we were kids.
Truth.
Twisted. I grabbed a spare mic from a tech. Voice steady as rebar. He stole my algo. Framed me for prison. Laundered millions with mob ties. I covered for him once. Never again. Murmurs swelled to roar. He lunged. Mic cord tingling. Liar. You wanted this, jealous little sister. Security swarmed, but not before he shoved me stumble. Heels snapping. Skirt ripping at the seam. The hall erupted. Cheers for me. Jeers for him. Factions forming in real time. Sibling showdown trended. Op-eds fracturing. Vigilante justice versus deserved reckoning. Backstage. Medics checked my ankle, sprain. Ice it. Harlan called. Valuation holds. But PR nightmare. Lena hugged me. You slayed. Polarized perfection, no heroes. Just survivors clawing from the pit. Ethan vanished into the night. Cops tailing for questioning. I limped to my suite. City sprawled below a battlefield. The revenge high crashed into doubt. Had I become him? Flipping masks. Burying bodies? The Bratva loomed. A shadow longer than his. The fallout from Philly was a media monsoon. Podcasts dissecting our dysfunctional dynasty. Therapists on Fox blaming toxic masculinity. TikTok therapists on the other side calling me Karma's CEO. Vesper weathered it. Our user base spiking 40% from the drama junkies. I played the long game. Congressional testimony on AI ethics. Positioning as the responsible disruptor.
Ethan?
Indicted on money laundering. Out on $10 mill bail. Holed up in a midtown safe house with lawyers thicker than roaches. His flips ceased. Desperation stripped the camouflage. A collect call from Rikers. Pre-trial hold, he begged. Sienna? The Russians. They're after you now. The loan? Traced it. My blood iced. The $5 millbridge? A noose. Marco confirmed. Bratva fixer en route from Brighton Beach. Sniffing Vesper's board for leverage. I fortified bodyguards in black SUVs. Penthouse sweeps twice daily. Nights blurred into code binges. Adderall fueled. Chasing sleep with chamomile that tasted like ash. The twist hit like vertigo, an encrypted drop from an unknown source. Pinging my dark web alias. Files, birth records, DNA logs. Mom's fertility clinic invoices from '92. I wasn't Ethan's sister. Half-sister?
No.
Adopted. Dad's affair with a colleague. Hushed up post-crash. Mom knew. Raised me as blood to keep the family whole. The secret they'd buried deepest. I was the outsider. The true embarrassment, not by failure, but by origin. Reeling, I drove to the lake house alone. Guards dismissed for space. Dawn broke foggy. Loons calling like mourners.
Inside.
Dust motes danced in sunbeams. Mom's quilts folded neat. I rifled drawers. Found the letter. Yellowed envelope. Dad's scrawl. Sienna, if you're reading this, forgive us. You were our light, not his shadow. Forgive. The word mocked. Ethan had known, whispered it in a drunken rage at Mom's funeral. Why he hated me. You're not even real family. The hook that started it all? Not just words, a confession of my erasure. Phone buzzed. Ethan's lawyer. He's flipping on the Bratva. Full immunity if you corroborate. Corroborate. Lie for him again. Seal my adoption secret. Or expose it all. Shatter Vesper's Phoenix myth? The decision tore like Velcro. Controversial.
Raw.
I called a presser at Vesper HQ. Global feed live. Cameras hummed. Reporters from Wired to the Post. Today, I reveal my truth. I began. Voice cracking just once. The adoption. The cover-ups. Ethan's crimes laid bare. Gasps. Flashes. I bore his sins not as sister, but as fool. No more. The hall split. Applause thundered. But detractors murmured opportunist, grudge porn, polarized to the core. Ethan's reaction? A video from custody. Smuggled to X. She's lying. Always the manipulator. But the feds had him cold. Wires. Confessions. The Bratva? They pivoted. A clumsy hit on my convoy en route to the airport. Tire slashed. No shots fired. Warning. I rerouted to DC. Testified sealed. Vesper's data mapped their networks. Gift to the Bureau. Immunity for me. Empire intact. Forbes dropped the bomb a month later. Sienna Hale, 29. Youngest self-made billionaire. Ticker tape parade in my mind, but the cover shot, me on the lake dock, alone captured the ache. Vesper hit $5 bill valuation. Expansions to Tokyo. Ethical AI lab in Oakland.
Ethan?
20 years. Minimum. In Supermax. No visits. The ending? No tidy bow. I stood on that same dock last week. Skipping stones. Ripples fading to still.
Happy?
In boardrooms. Yes, champagne pops. Deals inked. Tragic? In mirrors, where the adopted girl's eyes stare back, wondering if revenge rebuilt or just rearranged the ruins. Family, blood, or choice. It betrays. But power? That's the real hook, sharp, unyielding. And mine now. As the sun dipped, I whispered to the water, to ghosts, then walked away, heels firm on gravel, into the dusk where stars wait to guide.